In the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna starts to advise Arjuna on the path of action. He says that for the active, there is a path of Karma Yoga, and for the meditative kind of people, there is the path of knowledge. And before he elaborates on the path of Karma Yoga, he tells that just giving up actions does not make anyone perfect, as not performing actions also does not lead to worklessness. So this is in response to Arjuna's question that you have been telling so many things and you have been confusing me, and if you think that knowledge is superior to action, then why are you making me engage in action? And so you have to now tell with certainty what is that which I have to do. And while explaining that, he says that Karma Yoga is also another path to perfection, and he gives the rationale. He says in the 5th verse, Nahi kashchit kshanamapi jatu tishtati akarmakrit karyate hi avashah karma sarvah prakriti jair gunaihi. Jatu, ever, kshanam, even for a moment, even for a second, api, even, kashchit, any person, akarmakrit, without performing action, na, not, he indeed, tishtati, can remain, he, for prakriti jaihi, a person who is born out of prakriti, that which is born out of prakriti, gunaihi, by the gunas, there are 3 gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas, sarvaha, all, avashaha, helpless, karma, action, karyate, are made to do. So what Sri Krishna is telling here is, indeed no one can ever remain for even a moment or a second without performing action, for all are made to act helplessly by the gunas which are born of prakriti. So prakriti creates gunas, these 3 gunas, and everyone is controlled by these 3 gunas, and so they are made to perform actions. They are made to perform actions, and without performing action, no one can remain even for a moment. While Swamiji starts his lectures on Karma Yoga, which later on was published as a book, he starts with the important statement that everything is karma, all action is karma, even breathing, even thinking, everything is karma. Now, Shankaracharya, on the contrary, and also people who followed him, the traditional Shankaracharya followers, they define karma as those actions which have been prescribed in the Vedas. Those actions which have been prescribed in the Vedas. And so there is this huge school of thought where they say that jnana karma samuchaya, the going together of jnana and karma, the going together of knowledge and action is impossible. In fact, in his treatise, Advaitic treatise called Naishkarmya Siddhi, Shankaracharya's disciple Sureshwaracharya says that only a donkey will have this kind of an opinion. People who have proper intelligence cannot say that action and knowledge will go together. So this kind of a statement, harsh statement, is made. Why? Because there they take karma to be Vedic injunctions, that which have been prescribed by Vedas, the scriptures. But in the Bhagavad Gita we see that Sri Krishna defines karma, or rather says that nobody can remain without doing work even for a moment. If we take the meaning of karma to be Vedic ritual, then it does not match with what Sri Krishna says. Because if Vedic rituals mean karma, then definitely a person can remain without performing Vedic rituals. So how can Sri Krishna say that even Shanamapi, Kashchit Shanamapi, even for one moment, a person cannot stay without doing work? So that means we have to understand that this is told in the sense of the definition by Swamiji, Swami Vivekananda, which is that even breathing is karma. Only then this makes sense. Then we can say, yes, any person who has born, who is living, is under the spell of three gunas caused by Prakriti, and that person cannot stay even for a second, millisecond or nanosecond without doing karma. So we have to understand that as long as Bhagavad Gita is concerned, as far as Bhagavad Gita is concerned, as far as the statement of Sri Krishna is concerned, karma means any action. And if that is the case, then karma yoga is not just a particular compartmental practice, but it is a practice of transforming all actions that we do, including breathing, etc., into something which will enable us to realize our true nature. In the 6th verse, Sri Krishna says, Karmendriyani sanyamya ya aste manasa smaran indriyarthan vimoodatma mithyacharah sa uchyate. So you see, here again Sri Krishna confirms that the idea of karma which Sri Krishna is talking about, the idea of action which Sri Krishna is talking about, includes thinking also. How? He says, Yaha, who? Karmendriyani, organs of action. Organs of action are this hand, feet, hands, feet, the organ of evacuation, procreation, then mouth, etc. So these are the organs of action. Now, organs of action, indriyani, karmendriyani, sanyamya, restraining, manasa, by the mind, indriyarthan, also sense objects, smaran, remembering, aste, sits, saha, that person, vimudha atma, is of a deluded understanding, is a deluded person, confused person. Mithyacharah uchyate. Mithya achara means a person who is a hypocrite. So this person is a hypocrite. Mithyacharah means tells one thing and does something else. So this person is called mithyachara. So mithyachara, hypocrite, uchyate is called. Who is called a hypocrite? A person who restrains the organs of action. That means the external organs. Does not do anything. Restrains the organs of action. But sits in one place. Aste. But manasa smaran. Manasa indriyarthan smaran. Thinks of, sits, but thinks of, in the mind, thinks of all objects of senses, sense objects. Though that person does not do anything externally, but while sitting quietly without doing anything, thinks of all the external sense objects. So the mind is revolving. Most people do meditation like that. So mind is revolving. It's like in Vrindavan, all these monkeys are there. So you can see on the wall of the famous garden, Nidhivan, you will see monkeys lined up. And they are all sitting, closed eyes. You can actually see closed eyes, very calm and very serene faced. But what they are doing, they are meditating upon on whose spectacles to snatch, whose purse to snatch, which slipper to eat, etc. So like that, a person who is karmendriyani sanyamya, one who has controlled the organs of action and is sitting, but manasasmaran is thinking by the mind, through the mind, all the sense objects. So that person is a hypocrite. So externally that person is saying, I will not do any action. That is what Sri Krishna means here. Externally you might say that I will not do any action. So what is the difference between a yogi or a person who has established oneself in Brahman and a lazy person? So the lazy person might not do anything externally, but inside one's mind is constantly thinking about sense objects. But the person who is established in Brahman is not thinking of anything. So the action is not being performed at the mind level also. So Sri Krishna is hinting that you see, Arjuna, in the first chapter we saw that Arjuna says, I will not fight the war, etc., etc. So you might be saying that I will not fight the war, but in the mind you will be fighting the war. In the mind you will be doing these actions. So you will become what is called a hypocrite. Means one who does not do what one says. So that is not what has to be understood. So here again Sri Krishna emphasizes that even the thought of sense objects, even the thought of doing some action is as good as doing an action. So it is better to do the action rather than sitting and thinking about sense objects. Yaha tu indriyani manasa niyamya arabate Arjuna karmendriyaihi karma yogam asaktaha sa vishishyate. So here the contrary example is given by Sri Krishna. He says, Arjuna, yaha, who, tu, but indriyani, senses, manasa, by the mind, niyamya, controlling, asaktaha, unattached, karmendriyaihi, by the organs of action, karma yogam, path of work, arabhate, follows, saha, that person, vishishyate, excels. So here Arjuna is told that a person, so there was in the previous shloka the example was a person who has stopped doing anything by external organs, but inside the mind is thinking so many things, that person is a hypocrite. Here it is the opposite example, that a person who has controlled one's senses through the mind and is using the organs of action in an unattached manner to do the path of work, that is karma yoga, perform the spiritual discipline of work. Arabhate, that person who follows the path of karma yoga, that person excels. Excels in what? Excels in spiritual life. So a person who does not give up actions externally but has controlled one's senses through the mind. That means the mind is also controlled, sense organs are also controlled, and has got unattachment. Has got unattachment, is unattached, does work externally, that person excels. So the idea is not to give up work, but to control the mind and senses and to practice unattachment. Unattachment. In the 8th verse, Sri Krishna says, Niyatam kuru karma tvam karma jyayo hi akarmanah sharira yatrapi chate na prasiddhyet akarmanah. Tvam, you, niyatam, obligatory, karma, action, kuru, perform, he, for, akarmanah, to action, karma, action, jayah, superior, akarmanah, of the inactive, te, your, sharira yatra, maintenance of the body, api, even, cha, and not, not prasiddhyet would be possible. So Sri Krishna tells here a practical point, a pragmatic viewpoint. What is that? Niyatam kuru karmatvam. Tvam niyatam karma kuru. Whatever is obligatory, whatever is enshrined upon you, whatever is told upon you, enjoined upon you, whatever is enjoined upon you, whatever is injunction, do that. Nitya karma is what is injunctory actions that one has to perform, regular prayers, one has to do some works which are called nitya karma, which are regular actions. Daily one has to do that. And there is something called naimittika karma, which has to be done on special occasions. Something which has to be done on special occasion. For example, somebody has a child, and the child has to be named, there is a ceremony for that. The child will eat rice, annaprashana, so that there is a ceremony for that. So all these are naimittika karma, which are to be done on special occasions. Then there is nitya karma, which has to be done regularly, daily basis. So all these obligatory actions you do. And of course, if a person is living, one has to fetch, one has to find means of livelihood. How to eat, how to find food, shelter and clothing, roti, kapda or makan. How to find them. So one has to take care of that. So these things at least one has to do. These are basic things which everyone has to do. You cannot avoid that. So perform obligatory action. Why? Because action is superior to inaction. Akarmanaha karma jyayaha. Then inaction, action is superior. And also, even for Sharira Yatra, Sharira means body, Yatra means maintenance. Even for the bare maintenance, minimum maintenance of the body, one has to perform actions. One has to perform action. So, the bare maintenance of the body also will not be possible if you are inactive. Holy Mother says that now Swami Vivekananda, Naren has done all this. He has created this mutt and Ramakrishna mutt and Ramakrishna mission, because now in the modern society, people will not give you food. So, unless you do something for society, you are not going to get anything. So that is why it is good that he has started all these things. So this is a very pragmatic comment by the Holy Mother, Sri Sarada Devi. So she says, yes, why will people give you food? And that is why in an age and time when across the globe, not only in India, across the globe, people who are connected with religious life, people who are connected with religious orders, monks, nuns, etc., are frowned upon. They are looked upon not in a very good light. But Ramakrishna Mutt and Ramakrishna Mission is respected worldwide. Why? Because of the work. Because of the work. Before Ramakrishna Mutt came, very few organizations, almost next to nothing, nil, used to perform these service activities, used to do service activities. So religious organizations used to not do service activities. It was after Ramakrishna Mission came that people started doing more and more service activities. So religious organizations only in Hinduism I am talking about. Christianity and other organizations of course did have service aspect as their part of their organizations, integral to their organization, but not so in Hindu monasteries. And even if some Hindu monasteries had, there were very few. So even for the sake of the bare maintenance of your body, you need to perform some action. You need to do something. Else it is not possible to maintain your body. So at least do what is asked of you, expected of you. So somebody married, had kids, and then came to Sri Ramakrishna and said, I now want to give up everything and become a monk, or I want to stay with you. Then Sri Ramakrishna scolded that person. Why? Maybe that person's dispassion or vairagya was not so much, was not so severe or so intense. So Sri Ramakrishna scolded, he said, what did you think when you were marrying? Now who will look after that wife and your kids? So you have to do basic minimum action which is required, because even for the bare maintenance of the body you need to do action. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat.